your favorite pitch and your best pitch. What is it for you?
Well, they're one and the same for me, I would say. I didn't really know how to throw a changeup very well until because growing up, my curveball was my best pitch, and even in college, my curveball was my best pitch, and so I had to really figure out a changeup when I got to high A in 2018 because my curveball wasn't great for some reason, and then so that you had to have an equalizer pitch, and I was going through lineups with just fastball, changeup, and some curveballs. So I would say my changeup has really developed and become my best pitch over the course of the last few years. And so I would say that those are one and the same for me.
The MLB is completely different than college. I mean, you use metal bats in college. Now you're using wooden bats, and maybe the juiced balls will help some of the hitters hit the ball over the fence. When you look at some of the new rules that the MLB is trying to implement into the game, one of them being electronic umpires, do you like that, or do you completely dislike it because of all the old games that you've seen over the years, the managers arguing, and even the pitchers arguing with the umpire? It's a part of the game. Do you like this rule, or do you dislike the rule?
I mean, when in the history of baseball has there ever been an electronic strike zone? I mean, it's America's pastime. It's a game that, it adapts and it moves forward. However, it's the same old game. You go out there, you throw the ball, you hit the ball, you field the ball, you run, you try to score, you try to get people out. That's not ever going to change. I think an electronic strike zone would make people realize that a lot of the times they're going to be wrong, pitchers and hitters. Then there's less room for error, but I'd always stick with just an umpire. Even if I'm having a bad day, I'd rather have an umpire.
I agree with you, by the way. I agree with everything you've said so far because we're buddies now. We're going to be texting each other. We're going to be hanging out. I don't know where you live, but I live here in New York, so whenever you want to come out to New York and get to see the bright lights of the city, or maybe even bring you down to the wineries in Long Island, you will have a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
You're going to have a group chat with him, Blaine, and you?
Well, we've been talking to a lot of prospects. We talked about last week. We talked to two up-and-coming prospects for the New York Yankees, Blaine Abeda, and
Ocean
Gabonia, who just signed with the Yankees, has 5 pitches. And we had a great time, not even talking about baseball, really just talking about their lives and where they plan to be, in the MLB, or do they plan themselves to be starters or relief pitchers. So my question to you is, when you look at the game as a whole, and you look at some of the past-time great players and pitchers that you try to compare and contrast to some of the pitchers now, and the transition of the game, the power arm, do you see the game transitioning again, knowing that the power arm has completely dominated the sport for the last 7-8 years, and now you're seeing some of the... Remember, in the 90s, it was Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine. They were all precise pitchers that found corners and liked to pitch and use the corners and use the plate. Do you see pitching to be transitioned into that style again, or do you think it's going to be all power?
I think it's going to be a combination of both, honestly, because they say that big league hitters can time a 747, Mm-hmm. If they can catch it. I mean, you got to think Aroldis Chapman, 105 miles an hour. He gives up nukes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about one of your Yankee boys.
About Yankee boys. I mean, he wasn't a Yankee in the beginning. He was a Cincinnati Red.
Well, I mean, he played for the Yankees.
Yes.
He throws heat, and it leaves the yard all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard. I mean, 105 is absolute cheddar, and so if a hitter can catch up to that and hit it out, the game's going to have to adapt to hitting spots and locating. And if you have guys, 95 is the new average for guys. It's incredible to see guys just run out there every night and throw 95 plus.
So what we're gonna do, Braden, this is what we're gonna do. We're going to blindfold my producer, Speedy. And what you're going to do is you're going to tell him to run all over the baseball field. And you're going to stand at the pitching mound, and you're going to try to peg him as many times as you can with the baseball. What do you think about that?
I'm in.
I'm sure you are.
Prize for the winner.
You know what's funny? I'm sorry?
I said, who's buying dinner?
Well, I'll buy the dinner. If you hit them, I'll buy you the dinner. Anything you want, steak, pizza. You never had pizza until you come to New York.
I've been to New York, actually. I stayed in the W Hotel.
Oh, okay.
I went to the last series in the old Yankee Stadium when I was in like the 7th grade.
Oh, look at that. They won it in 2009.
30 dirty water dogs.
Oh, so you're a hot dog guy, huh?
I mean, if you're in New York, there's one on every street corner, so.
You're absolutely right. I hate hot dogs. Braden, I hate hot dogs.
Really?
But
I feel like if I lived there too, I would hate hot dogs. Like I said, I ate 30 in the span of 3 days.
Oh my God. Well, why don't you go into one of those competitions, ESPN, man?
No, ain't nobody beating Joey Chestnut in a hot dog eating contest.
Oh my God, man, that guy can eat a hot dog.
Oh.
75 in his last competition.
It's crazy. It really is. As you guys know, we're talking to Brewers pitching prospect Braden Webb. He's given us some good insight on his hot dog eating habits. Braden, when you look at the league as a whole and you're looking at all these superstars like Mike Trout and Aaron Judge and the faces of baseball and really the transition of some of these contracts and what these guys are making, do you see the league with the CBA rules and the TV deals that they're going to get, a lot of these teams and these organizations are getting, do you see the league transitioning to higher rates, higher deals? Because I look at Gerrit Cole, who got $326 million from the Yankees. I don't see another starting pitcher making that kind of money. I really don't. I mean, $39 million a year he's making, and he got an 8-year deal?
Yeah.
8-year deal? I don't see a pitcher getting that.
It was 8 or 10?
It was 8. It was 8. It wasn't 10.
I believe it was 8.
It was 8 years. And do you see pitchers now? Because now you're looking at the relief pitcher and these openers, and some of these teams are saying that in order to win a World Series, you need a significant, strong bullpen. And in your team, the Brewers have one of the best bullpens in baseball. Now, do you see the game transitioning to the bullpen style of game where you'd rather pay the relief pitcher, or do you see the starting pitcher getting more and more money as we move forward?
I think that the relief guys end up getting paid more. However, if the game keeps expanding and people keep getting paid more and more, then like I said, I think that's why the relief pitchers would end up getting paid more. However, I don't see it when you pay top dollar like that for a starter. I don't think you're just going to run him out there for 4 or 5 innings just to be considered an opener. Gerrit Cole got paid because Gerrit Cole goes out there and he strikes out 10+ dudes every time he touches the mound. You got to think that's an incredible feat to do, and the guy had over 300 strikeouts last year, and I mean that's just it's hard to fathom that happened.
Well, I'll tell you this.
Not only did he do it, but Justin Verlander on the same team also did it.
I know. It's not fair.
I think that's over 600 strikeouts by 2 guys on your team.
Last question for me. Your favorite game that you played in, maybe individually, maybe a great stat line or a milestone, and then the craziest game you ever played in at any level.
One time in high school I came out my senior year 2-0 with 2 no-hitters, and I punched out 17 guys in the first game and then 17 guys in the second game.
Oh, my God.
So that was a pretty cool experience because that was the first time that it was done at my school, to go back-to-back no-hitters. And I ended up walking one guy in both of them. Otherwise, I would have had a perfect game. But that's happened to me several times throughout my career, is to where I'll go out and I'll punch out a lot of guys and give up one walk and end up blowing the no-hitter. But and it also happened again to me in Double-A in the championship series. The first game, I went 7 innings. I walked 2, and I punched out like 7, but didn't give up a hit until the 7th inning.
Well,
that game. And then the craziest game I've ever been a part of was probably, I would say, Ole Miss in college. The very first inning I came out, I gave up 2 runs in the first. I punched out one guy in that inning and gave up two or three hits. Gave up 2 runs, and then I ended up retiring 19 straight batters with 14 of them being strikeouts.
Well, I'll tell you this, Braden. I was a pretty good hitter when I played high school baseball. I don't know if I'll be able to catch your fastball or your curveball anymore. I mean, I always hit for contact. I always hit in 1 or 2 hole. That's what I used to do, and I was a pretty good outfielder, but my game was hockey. But before we let you go, I have one question. You mentioned the Astros, and you mentioned Justin Verlander, and you mentioned Gerrit Cole. And you heard the stories coming out, and I know a lot of people are taking shots at the Yankees because there were stories coming out that the Yankees were doing and the Red Sox were doing. But I'm not talking about the Yankees or Red Sox. They didn't win a World Series. Well, the Red Sox did. The Yankees didn't. What are your thoughts to the cheating scandal of the Astros? Do you believe they should keep their trophy, or do you think Rob Manfred should have laid the hammer down a little bit harder on the Astros organization?
I'm kind of indifferent on the matter because you got to think people have been trying to steal signs since baseball started. You know, if you see a runner at second base and he sees the catcher's sign, he'll throw down like a hand or something for whatever pitch he thinks it is. Or you see a third base coach or a first base coach signaling to the third base coach what pitch is coming. You know, the Astros just did it because they have the technology to do it. We talked about technology in an electronic strike zone. You know, the Astros just took it to another level. I think a lot of people are mad just because they didn't figure it out first.
How about banging garbage cans?
However, do I think that there's a fine line between right and wrong, and should they have done that? Definitely not. I don't think that they should have. However, they got away with it, and, you know, people are mad because it happened and they won, and then it came back later on. So, I mean, if you don't catch them in the act, then you can't really lay down the hammer now. It's the past.
Well, you guys heard it here on the Worldwide Sports Radio, Down to the Wire. Braden Webb does not think that Rob Manfred should have laid the hammer down on it. Hey, listen, I am back and forth with this. I'm a Yankee fan. Like I said, I think they screwed the Yankees out of a possible World Series championship.
A lot of people out of a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. So
you just can't, like I said, it's in the past, and like they ended up winning, and then they did it again in the World Series and against the Nats, and the Nats ended up beating them. So
I was so happy.
Me too.
I was so happy. Well, Braden, before we let you go, I do want to hear a little bit. Give me a line. Give me a rap line. Give me a little freestyle. Come on.
I don't have anything off the top of my head.
Nothing?
I don't have a beat. I don't have anything. I'm not in the studio right now. I do have songs on SoundCloud.
Oh, my God.
That I recorded from when I was going through my troubles of, you know, not being able to play, going through Tommy John rehab, and then I wrote and recorded my own walkout song for when I was at the University of South Carolina.
Interesting.
If we get you on again, we'll have to play one of your songs.
No, what I'm going to do is when we do get you on, and I do want to get you back on because first of all, you're really down to earth. You gave us some good insight, and plus, you're like us. You're just one of the guys, and that's what I love when we interview. I'm sorry.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how my dad raised me to be. You know, you can't let the game be bigger than what it is, and you can't act better than everyone else. And I feel like that's why God put me where I am with the Brewers today. Like I told you, you know, the big leaguers interact and help out the minor leaguers, and that's why I feel like I'm blessed to be in this position right now.
Well, tell your father I want to interview him. How's that sound?
Oh, he would love it.
I would love to get your father on. The next time we get you on,
he has no filter though. So
oh, love it, love it.
The Yankees and the Dodgers, he will rip into it.
Oh, well, guess what? Me and your father have something in common because I don't have a filter either.